So what you're looking at here is a trading plan template. And this is for newer traders, beginner traders. This is to help you in developing a routine for developing a trading plan. We're going to go through, we're going to fill this out. And of course, at first, you're going to be slow at it and it's going to suck doing this. But the more you do this, and it's practice and repetition, the more you do this, you're putting together all of these ideas that you see to develop a trading plan. You're going to get faster, you're going to get better, and then eventually you're not going to need this because you're just going to naturally look every morning pre-market for all of these characteristics and developing a plan for you. So every morning pre-market, what I would do, pull this up. You could either do this on Paint 3D or you could do it Microsoft Word. You can add whatever you wanted. If you wanted to track beta or average true range, for example, you could input all of that in here if you wanted. This is just to get you guys started. So let's put together a trading plan and how I would go about filling this out. So let's look at an idea real quickly. We'll look at an idea here on JWN, for example. So we'll pull this up. I'll get my text. We're going to write in at the symbol JWN. And then you can go back over the weekend and review this if you wanted to see your trading ideas, how they panned out. It's all about how much work you put into this stuff. So we got the symbol JWN. Now we got to look for the float. Now you can use multiple websites or whatever to look for a stock's float. I have Street Smart Edge here, says it right here. JWN total float is 112 million. Now, this is just one of many ways you can look for a stock's float. You have stock scanners, stock screeners, websites like FinViz. There's all kinds, Yahoo Finance. And then you also have the Discord. And if you scroll down into the bot chart lookup, you can also look up a stock's float here too. Type it in, float, and JWN. See what the stock bot says the float is. So the stock bot says the float is 112 million right there. So that confirms it. I've confirmed multiple sources to get an idea of where the float's at, because I could pull up a stock and I could easily see the float on Street Smart Edge is 100 million, but then I could look on FinViz and the float could be 50 million. All of these different institutions or charting platforms or websites, they're going to update their information differently. So it's good to always check multiple sources just to get an idea of how big that float could be. Better safe than sorry, right? So 112 million float. We'll go back into our chart here. And like I said, you guys, this is just for newer people and new traders to give you an idea and guide you in how you should go about putting together trading plans. That's all that this is for. Me today, I've been doing this for a while. I don't need to do this anymore. But by practice and repetition, you'll remember all this stuff and you yourself won't even need this. So we got the float at 112 million float. Now, short float percentage. Where I like to find this, I can go into FinViz. Look at JWN right there. It's one of the top percentage gainers. We'll click on that. And you can either look at the short float, trade ideas, Yahoo Finance, FinViz. Use whatever you'd like. So right here, we got, tells us there as well, the float, 112 million. Short float is at 21.9%. So let's just say 22%. 22%. Then shares outstanding. Shares outstanding is 159 million. 159 million. And the shares outstanding, a lot of people get the float and the shares outstanding mixed up. Shares outstanding is the total amount of shares, period. That's locked up, insider ownership. It's the total amount of shares, period. The float is the available amount of shares for the public to trade. Now we're going to look for average volume. Average volume right there. And if you hover over on FinViz, it'll tell you right there on how it's calculating the average volume. See, people have their different criteria. Some people like to look for average volume the last 30 days, or the last average volume over the last 2 weeks or 6 months. FinViz, going off of 3 months, average volume is 5.5 million. And it's the small little details like this, you guys, that you're looking up and put into your trading plan that a lot of people overlook. All this extra work that you're doing, this is the payday that you're working for as a trader. It's all about paying attention to the small little details. So 5.5 million average volume. And I'm sorry that this isn't perfect. I tried doing this on Word, but I lost the original template and I only had the picture of this. So 52 range. So we're going to pull up the day, or you can pull up FinViz. I believe they have a 52. Yep, right here. So 52 week high, it's negative 44, 52 week low, 38% positive. We'll pull up the daily chart, and you could base it off 52 weeks, or you could base it off the current year. It's just the range the stock was in. So we're in March. We're going to go back to last March. From 46, it's down to 19. So 46, we'll put 26. So it's currently down $20 from its highs. Good enough. What industry is it in? So it's on the New York Stock Exchange, consumer critical department stores, industry sector. And you can add in exchange if you wanted. I'm actually going to have to pull this back up so I can copy it. So the sector is consumer critical. The industry is department stores. Department stores, and the sector is consumer critical. You could print these out and write this down. It's probably faster to do it that way than what I'm doing right now. Sector, CYCLICAL. And then institutional ownership. Institutional ownership is going to be right here, that 59%. All right. Now that we got all that filled out, and I'm sorry it's sloppy, you guys. All of our information's filled out here. Other key statistics that you could look out for, you could add in, for example, ATR, average true range. I would add that in. Let's go back to this, and right here we'll put average true range. So the average true range is $1.29. Average true range, and we'll hover over that to see how far it's measuring. The average true range the last 14 days has been around $1.30. This is going to give you an idea of how much the stock likes to move up and down, you guys, okay? That's the importance of average true range. Other key things that you could add if you wanted: optionable, yes; shortable, yes. You could add in stuff like this, because not all stocks are optionable, especially in large or small cap land. A lot of small cap stocks, usually most of the time, are not optionable, and they're not even shortable as well. So another key statistic that you could add is something like easy to borrow, ETB. So let's add that in as well, ETB, and just below that I'll put easy to borrow. So ETB, and if you wanted, you could put a little side note in there. All of these other statistics, you guys, they're optionable. You don't have to have them, but remember, the more statistics that you have at your advantage, the better. Another one I would look for is beta, right there. So beta, you don't know what beta is? It's the volatility in the performance with the S&P 500. So for every point that the S&P 500 moves, the beta on this is 2.3. So for every point that the SPY moves, this moves times 2.3, what the index does. So that's a little key statistic to look out for. If you want to know more about it, of course, I'm always going to refer you guys to Investopedia. Remember, if you guys ever have anything that you're unsure of, it's always best to go off into Investopedia and look it up. Investopedia, have it saved on your web browser. And then if you wanted to come up in here to the search, it's got right here, beta formula, how to calculate beta, what it's all about. And sometimes they even have little videos in here to break it down for you as well. So beta Use it to your advantage, guys. So the beta on this is 2.33. We'll go back into here. Don't overwhelm yourself with all of this information. Again, this is just to help you, new people, into developing a routine, a daily routine. When you're developing your watch list every day, coming up with game plans, you'll be able to show up and you'll be able to quickly glance at what's gapping up, and you'll just effortlessly look at all of this stuff. The beta, easy to borrow, average true range, the float, and you'll start to pick it all up. You'll see what sector it's in. If you're noticing a lot of stocks are running in that sector, man, our JWN is taking off. There it goes. It held our trend line. They're at 25.75, ran up to its high. Now it's breaking. That was a good one. All right, we got all of this written out. Let me go back to double check to see if there's any more statistics that I would include. You could put insider ownership if you wanted. You don't have to. Yeah, that's all I would add. That's everything. So all of this right here. Now I'd move on to catalyst. Is there a catalyst for the stock? Catalyst is the news. So let's pull this up. Go to the news feed here. Go to this morning. It jumps after multiple brokerages raises price target on upbeat 2022 forecast. Nordstrom shares surge 32% as shoppers return to rack stores. So we got another one here. A Dutch bank adjusts Nordstrom price target to 31 from 22. There's another analysis there raising the price target. And then another one right here from 26 to 29. So what is that? I think that's 4. We had four things do price target, right? Rises the price target. 4 different sources rises price targets for stock. That's good. That's going to attract volume. People like analysis when they come out and they upgrade a stock and raise the price target. It's almost in a way like pumping a stock, but for some reason legally, because these people go off, get their degrees and finance and all of that, and they dig into the company and they like what they see fundamentally and technically, and they raise the target. Normally people like to be told when to buy and sell. So we got 4 different sources. They're all rising the price target for this stock. That's the catalyst. So we got a good catalyst. Now we got a game plan, support, resistance. So this morning pre-market, I would be looking at this. I'd look at the daily chart and I would take a look at it. I'd ask myself, is it above all of its moving averages or is it below all of its moving averages? The only thing that I see right now, it's just above its 50 and 100 day moving average. I see that the 100 day is at 25, so I would remember that. And then I see that the red line in this 200 day is at 28.75. So I'd write this stuff down. The 100 day is at 24. I'll just say 25. First, I'd put 100 SMA 25. That's support. Now you come over here to resistance, and I'd put the 200 SMA is at 20, let's say 29, okay? Then I also would pull back up this daily chart because we're still working from the bigger time frame. And I see that we have a big gap here in the chart, right? That's an error in the chart. So I would go across and I'd measure this. So I would see right here at 24.50 at around our $25, I would look for this to hold up as support because we're gapping up this morning. We're gapping up over 25. So we got to hold. I'd put together my game plan. We have to hold 24.50, 25 area as support because I'm seeing it here on the daily chart. So come back over to here, my game plan, and I'm writing down what I'm seeing on the chart. Put it here so you guys can see what I'm writing. This morning, gapping up over 25. We have 24.50 through 25 support. That's what I have as of right now. And then put that right there, go back into this, and then now I see that with this gap here, it's got the gap fill all the way up here to about $32, I'm gonna say. But remember, our 200-day moving average is right here at around $28, $29. So 28 is going to be resistance and $30. Pull this back up, get my text back out. And this is where it pays to have it right in front of you, so you can just easily write this down. You're not fumbling around like I am right here. Daily chart, gap fill is at $30, but 200 SMA is at 29. So this is where I'm getting my potential targets of how much we can run up to. $29, $30 a share. Now we can move real quickly, and what I would do too, now that I'm looking at the daily chart and I have it separate from everything else, I can easily switch, and I just want to take a glance real quick. I would want to pull up and look at the weekly real quick, see where we're at. I see that we got the 50-day right there at $30. So everything's still aligning. And then the monthly, I would do the same here. Look at where we're at with this. So everything looks good. I don't see anything holding it up. The 50-day on the monthly is here at $34.50. You see how all this little work and all these details that I'm going into to put together my plan, I could do this real quickly. And it's all about your guys' routine, doing all of this every day, and it's just going to come natural to you. I'm not overcomplicating things, as you guys see either. I'm just looking at a lot of what's in front of me. Bare bones basics. Now we can move to our intraday charts. We've had two stocks that we had on watch take off. JWN, and we also had ARLO on watch. This one just ripped up over 11 to 1130s. So back here to JWN, we'll blow up the 1 minute, because I got pre-market action going in on this. And I could see yesterday after hours, that's when this stock exploded up here, and it topped out at 27.25. Then it faded. Then as we go into the next day here, I see that we're still fading down. We're still pulling back. There's still potential for the stock. Just because it's pulling back, that's all right. We pull back all the way here to 24.33. Now, if we pull back up our game plan, this morning it was gapping up over 25. We have to hold 24.50, 25 area support. With us pulling back this morning, we pulled all the way back here to around that 24.50s area, and we perked back up, and we're right under that 25 right when the market opens up. So we have our levels drawn out. When this market opens up, we're telling ourselves we have to hold this level. We see it on the daily chart. That 24.50, 25 was old resistance, and it's got to hold that area and build up off that area up to our target up there at $30. So we got our support. Now we can also zoom in on this, and we can do our intraday support and resistance. This stock, it topped out yesterday after hours up here at 27.20, and it looks like it formed a wedge right here. It formed a wedge right here, and it broke down from that, and it went sideways, and then it cracked right here. And that was all taking place at around about 26.50. So 26.50 is going to be resistance, and 27.20 is going to be resistance. So again, I'd come over to this resistance, 26.50 and 27. And then throughout the day, when the stock's going on and you have multiple stocks up and in play, you can quickly use this as a reference. If your memory's not that great, you can quickly pick back up on what your game plan was for this stock going into the day. So our game plan is to build up off of that 24.50, 25 support and start pushing up through these levels. 26.50, 27. We pushed up to a high of 26.50. Then we pulled back to 25.50. And this is where your technical analysis skills come into play right here. Use our tool that we like to use, Fibonacci. Measure from the low here up to this morning's push. Notice that it pulls back about 38.2%. We drew a trend line out on it. This is where you start developing your plans. With it running up here this morning up to 26.50, and with it now pulling back, we easily plotted on a trend line connecting all of the lower highs here. We notice it's in a a wedge right at around that 26 bucks. But this is where your strategies come into play, what you have in your playbook. This is one of my playbook plays where if I draw a trend line out on this stock and it bottoms out and it starts to break up over that trend line like it did right here, this right here, right before we started recording this video, I said, now that we broke up from this trend line, if we pull back, we're going to have to hold that trend line as support. And I would be looking to enter in on this stock right at this trend line right there to hold as support. I got my low plotted in right there. So I'd be putting my stop loss just below this. So that's around about 25.50s, just below that. Entering in here at around 25.70, so I'm risking around 20 cents on this play. The target for it is going to be up here to retest high at 26.50, and it's just all about getting in that screen time, seeing this multiple times, and going off of a stock's average true range as well. It's multiple things. We go back and look at the ATR on this. What was it? It's a $1.30 is the average true range that the stock likes to move. Let's go back to that chart. This morning, it bottomed out here at 24.50 and it ran all the way up here to 26.50. That's a $2 run right there this morning. Here it pulled from 26.50 down to 25.50. That's a $1 move. And then from 25.50, it's currently running up here to 27. That's a $1.50 run right there. So it's around the ballpark of $1.30 in its average true range. It's holding true, but we're not seeing explosive, wicked moves like this stock, ISPO, right? And look at ISPO. This thing went from 50. It skipped up here to $57. Just for fun, let's look at the ATR and ISPO. Look at the average true range on this stock, $11.99. So that's telling you on average that this stock, it likes to swing up and down $12. So this is where little key statistics like this, you guys, it goes a long way and it helps. And it helps you get an idea of how much this stock likes to move up and down. How much does it like to go on a bullish run up? How much does it like to go on a bearish run down? Consolidations, retracements, all of that falls into the average true range. And also, when you go back on the chart yourself and you're seeing with your own eyes how much this stock likes to effortlessly move up and down. That way, when you're in on this trade, a movement isn't going to freak you out and scare you out of a position or a trade. You already know how volatile this specific stock is. You see it with your own eyes. And a lot of people easily overlook something like that. Going back here on JWN, even before this move, scroll out on this chart, zoom in on one specific day, and just get an idea, like measures. So from 1955, it had a good run up here to 2050. That's about a $1 run, all right there. And then from 2050, it went all the way down here to 1940. That's about a $1 movement right there. So how much this stock likes to move up and down. A lot of little small details go into this stuff, you guys. And this is where I preach to you guys. You just got to pay attention to the small little details. The small little details go a long way. And we broke all this down on a 1-minute chart. We got a 3-minute and a 10-minute chart as well. Even here on our 30-minute chart that we have up, just like our daily chart, you see this morning, we're gapping up right here this morning. And you look left on this chart, you see that there's a big gap right there. So you got to tell yourself that's an error in the chart. A lot of times traders, and this is a strategy a lot of traders have, they look for gap fills in these types of charts. This is considered an error in the chart and it needs to correct itself. It doesn't happen all the time, but most of the time it does. And then recently, this stock was in a big consolidation range, just back and forth from 19 to 24, 24.50, all right here. So with us gapping up out of this range, if we can hold above all of this right here, right? We're focusing on the area. We're not pinpointing it down to one specific price. There's no need to overcomplicate things, guys. Keep it simple. Big picture ideas are a lot less stressful. We hold up at that area and we start to build up off of that. We're in the money. So this is why I would pay attention to a stock like this, because if we hold above this little yellow area here, we have all of this potential right there to the upside. So do you think it's worth it if we hold up at that little yellow area with our risk? Is that green box worth it? Hell yeah, it is. So I'm going to keep this stock on radar. These are the types of questions you got to ask yourself pre-market when making your watch list. Does the reward significantly outweigh the risk? Does it make sense? And by doing this and writing all of this stuff down, all of the key information, is it easy to borrow? The beta, the float, short float is 22%. The institutional ownership is at 60%. What sector is it in? The average true range, average volume, and even the volume on the day currently. The volume currently on JWN is at 37 million on the day currently. It's got a catalyst. We got 4 different sources that all raised the price target on this stock. Where do you see support? Where's resistance on that daily chart? And then work your way down the time frames all the way down to that 1 minute and start putting together ideas and plans. And if you could see the big picture of what's going on, you're not going to let that 1 minute time frame punk you out. Focus on big picture ideas. And at first, you're going to be slow at filling this out. You are. You're going to be slow. You're going to get frustrated with yourself. You're going to be like, man, I just spent half an hour filling this out. And then the stock didn't even do shit. It didn't do nothing. It's all about implanting that routine, you guys. Getting yourself into that routine. By doing this every day, you're developing your own routine. And then over time, you'll start to memorize all this stuff. And then when you come in every morning, you could see what's gapping up on the gap scanners. And then you could pull up FinViz, quickly glance at your statistics. And if you got a good memory, this is where it really pays to have a good memory, because you don't have to write every little thing down. Some people have to write all this down, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. But the most important thing is getting that routine down. And then the more you do this, the quicker you're going to get, and you'll just start putting together plans and ideas on the fly. And then you'll know what stocks to pay attention to going into the open.